Welcome to the Cosmic Echoes. Good morning, Sue. It's lovely to see you.
Well, good morning as well. Do you know what? I have been sitting in the sunshine the last couple of days. It's rainy today and I don't care because the plants need it. But whoa, to
Yeah.
welcome the sun back was just like, thank you.
It
I
just
don't know
feels
what I look
too
like.
long. It's too long.
But you've just been, South Africa and lots of
Yes.
sunshine, haven't you?
Yeah. So now it's nice to kind of help in this transition because the transition has been a little bit tougher than expected.
Yeah.
And there's just not enough. But there's hope. There's movement towards more sun, which is always a good thing.
Always a good thing. And we
Yeah.
are now galloping in towards mid-spring, late
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah.
So I'm just so happy to see it back.
That's it. But there's also a lot of other shifts happening, isn't there?
I
It
don't
does
like to
feel a bit.
say that. Yes, it's a time
Yeah.
of. We were just before we came before we started recording, we were just talking about the intensity of this Neptune shift into
Mm.
Aries, and for the last 14 years, Neptune has been going through Pisces, and this very, very strong stellium is still very present in Pisces, and
Yeah.
will continue over the whole of the month. And I think it's important to remember that Neptune is a visionary.
Mm.
It's not great it's the planet of the visionary, the mystic, the poet. All I mean, it can be, also that it dissolves all your boundaries and it's very addictive.
Yeah.
I like to look at this time as what's my vision? Where do I want to go with my vision? And don't forget, we live in a society that does not cater or does not welcome mystics.
Mm. Yet.
Mystics don't want to climb the greasy pole. They just want to
Yeah.
sit and be mystical. They want to sit in
But
the
there's also a lot of magic in that mystic. There's a lot of grounding and change and movement in a different direction.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
because there's a lot of that happening there's a lot of activism, there's a lot of people standing up, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of confusion.
there's
Um,
confusion certainly.
yeah. And we were just talking before, I was saying how exhausted I am, and it almost feels like heaviness.
Yeah,
I was talking to someone else the other day, and we were talking about the us being infinite beings having a physical experience and how heavy the physical experience sometimes can be in its embodiment.
yeah.
And I feel that the past few days, and I know um, Neptune moved into Aries on the 30th, so
Yeah,
on Monday. So
did.
we just
Well,
did the start.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's currently in at 0 degrees, so
Mm.
of Aries, sitting right on my poor old Venus at the moment. She's going, bloody hell, that's a bit of a weight. Oops. So
And Venus also just moved
she
back into
absolutely the
Pisces.
whole yes, absolutely. There's been. Should we just go through some of the
Yeah.
astrology just to set it into motion because it's a very it's another interesting time. Let me just get here. So yes, on the 7th, and today we are the 4th.
Mm.
Mercury went back into Pisces and now will be stationary direct. So he'll be going back into, and we'll talk about dates in a minute. So
Mm.
that's happening. And a lot of people have been feeling quite, or lots of clients been not really quite being able to get stuff together. Well, that's very Mercury in retrograde in
Yeah.
Pisces, because Pisces again is it just dissolves things. And
Yeah.
Mercury's going, ooh, hang on a minute,
Couldn't get
doggy
out
paddle.
yet.
So once it goes back into Aries, I think, well, I think that's going to be such a, yeah, that's
Movement.
that's a real fire energy in the mind. So I think we'll be making up our minds and taking action of what we've been thinking about over
Mm.
the last few weeks with
Yeah.
this Mercury retrograde. So it's a big day on this April the 7th, because it's Mercury's very strong. It goes start going direct. It'll be
Yeah.
stationary direct. Then on the 13th of April, we've got Venus turning direct. So
Mm.
it's been retrograde for a while, and it's going to be re-entering Aries on April the 30th. So when you've got a retrograde planet, it rather than Venus is all about love and beauty, and let's create a harmonious, loving whatever we want to do, and it's about attracting love.
Yeah.
When it's retrograde, it's much more about internal. You have to be questioning yourself
Mm.
about how you feel about love, or your relationships might be quite difficult because Venus is not out there spreading love. She's in there going, well, what is love? I don't
Yeah.
understand it. So
Yeah.
we've all been working with that. And I think this is being very, how do I say it? Very mirrored in the world. I think we're all being questioned about, or this internal question is humanity. We're all meant to love each other, and we're all made of love and all of that kind of stuff. Well, do you know what? Not a lot that's being mirrored in the world, or
Yeah.
not on the surface.
Mm.
And I was thinking a lot about this. I've been writing a lot about this recently, and I just suddenly thought, do you know, it's all we're seeing is the aggression.
Mm.
That's what we're being shown on social media. It doesn't matter where it is, it's aggressive. It's this is how it's going to be, or this is what's happening, or even the YouTube channels, it's quite in your face.
Yeah.
And I suddenly thought, do you know what? There is so many beautiful people who are carrying the this Venus Pisces energy, which is gentle and caring and deeply compassionate. That is, the compassion. I want to have the compassion for the whole of humanity. I mean, God, we're in a mess. And I
Yeah.
just wanted to pay homage to everyone who's holding that space,
Yeah.
because it is,
And yeah. And because that's such a silent space, because it's a quiet space, it doesn't get the airtime or the voice necessarily. So
exactly.
yeah, I
Yeah,
salute that as
yeah.
well.
So I think that's happening as well. And I'm going to be very interested to see what happens when she goes into Aries. Having got Venus in Aries myself, she's a warrioress, and
Yeah.
I've been saying for quite a while, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of women in the
Mm.
street, or female energy coming out and saying, we've got to do it differently.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
got to do it from a space of heart,
Yeah.
where, well, let's just see. That's my prayer. That's my vision
Yeah.
for
And
us.
it is about balance. It is about
Yes.
balancing that masculine head space with
Yeah.
the feminine heart space, which has also got a lot of fire, as you say.
Yeah. And
Very.
don't forget, we've got Mars is now picking up speed and heading towards this third opposition with Pluto at the end of the month.
Oh.
This is a bumpy month. It is a bumpy month.
Mm.
But I just think, let's just hope that the heart is the warrior rather than the angry
Yeah.
soldier, you
Yeah.
know, and maybe people get so sick of the fighting, the infighting, the appalling behavior that's being demonstrated across the world by
Mm.
our leaders, if you
Yeah.
like. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that, you know,
Yeah.
that's where they are. That somehow from underneath we just go, we're done with this. We're so
Yeah.
done with this.
And
Mhm.
I've been writing a lot because in the Wisdom Seekers, we're moving into a new season with the
Yeah,
Alchemist Trust, and it's all about, this element of trust that we need to recenter that into ourselves, into our own
yeah,
intuition, instead of into these leaders who are not there for our best interest or to lead, the collective. They're there to have gain for themselves, and power and whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's, I mean, I don't want to be a fearmonger or a warmonger, but I do honestly think it's a fight for the heart now.
Yeah,
I do feel that.
yeah.
However, whatever you feel about
Mm.
Trumpy,
Call him Trumpy, it's better.
Trumpy is throwing the spanner in the works.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, however this turns out, the world will never be the same again. And I feel, however, this is uncomfortable, however horrified we might become,
Mm,
this could be the deep unconscious kind of, I don't want to even use the word reset, but because it's
mm.
political, but
Yeah,
it is what we need to go, stop,
yeah,
enough. We cannot go on like this.
yeah.
So I think he's serving a purpose, but I think we've got a very uncomfortable ride coming for the next 18 months around that.
And yet it turns it back to us. What are we gonna do with it?
Yeah,
Not how we're gonna react, but
yeah.
how are we going to
Well, yeah.
respond? Yeah,
But there's going to be a lot of anger around, a
yeah.
lot of anger, disillusion, disappointment,
Mm,
and just keep to the vision. Neptune is, don't run away. That's the other side of Neptune. I want to escape
yeah.
all this. Keep in the, keep with the mystic. And I
Mm,
had an amazing conversation with Felicity Warner the other day.
mm,
She's the founder of the Soul Midwifery, and she was being interviewed by, this is what she told me, she was being interviewed by the Christian mystic Andrew Harvey, and they were talking about sacred oils being used at the time of death. And both of them, as she was talking with him, were filled with this sense of fire, of purification, of fire. And Andrew Harvey said on camera, "Oh my God, this is the Pentecostal fire." And I
oh,
thought, do you know what? I don't know a lot about the Pentecostal fire. So
mm,
I looked it up, and this is the 50 days after Christ was on the cross.
yeah,
His disciples were sitting around with Mary, and
yeah,
the Holy Spirit came, and this is the Pentecostal fire, and gave them the Holy Spirit.
yeah.
And I thought this is a time of that.
Mm,
That's Neptune, that's Venus in fire,
yeah,
Pentecostal fire,
yeah,
the love
yeah.
fire. And I suddenly, do you know what? It gave me back hope.
Mm,
The
I
vision.
love that. Yeah.
I'm not a Christian, but I
Mm,
do love that symbolism. And I'm actually going to go to a Pentecostal church
yeah,
just to have that experience of this Pentecostal energy, just
yeah,
to feel what I mean, it might be, I'm sure it's, whatever it's going
yeah.
to be. But it's not, I'm not going for that, but I'm going
Yeah.
to go just to open up to that Pentecostal fervor.
Mm,
And that's what we need to
yeah.
change our world, the Pentecostal Father, whatever we call the Holy Spirit. It doesn't have
Mm.
to be in that language.
And it's that fire and it's love. It's pure love.
Yeah,
I think we spoke about this last time, how we're moving into this fire time, the element that we're embracing this time in the Wisdom
yeah,
Seekers as well as fire. So I'm looking so much at fire, and the phoenix is a symbol of that
yeah.
fire. All of these things have
Yes.
got that breaking down aspect to break through and then, rising up again. Mm,
I'm just reading this I love Richard Raw. He's one of my
yeah,
favorite teachers. And I'm just reading this, and it's one of the best books I've read about. He's using the words the prophets who were very fiery,
yeah,
and how they were for, how to sort of just, it's how do we work with our doubts and our fears, and
mm,
it's very, it's obviously it's very Christian language, but
yeah,
gosh, he's good. And if you're
yeah.
drawn to Richard Raw, please read, this is his latest book. I'm finding it, he's just such a cool guy. He's
Yeah.
the only person who has really helped me address my rage with the church.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's move on to, yeah, let's go on to the talking of which. Um, yes, Mars on the 18th. Let me just get this sorted. On the 13th of April, we've got the full moon. Now, the full moon is just lovely because its name in Native American English, in Native American Indian language is the grass moon or sprouting moon. Isn't
Ah,
that lovely?
it's gorgeous.
I love that. So it really is the return. It marks the return of Persephone from the underworld to be with her mother Demeter on the earth for the next 6 months. So, so what are we emerging back into?
Yeah.
The world's a very different place as it was when she went down to join Pluto 6 months. Yeah, at the
Months
beginning
ago.
of
Yeah.
winter, 6 months.
Yeah.
So what are we growing? What are we wanting to take back up into the world? What have we learnt about ourselves?
Mm.
So I think that's a really important thing. Because it's so volatile in the world, which it is,
Mm.
I think we really need to it's sort of like pay attention to yes. So I haven't even said actually what it's in. It's the full moon in Libra.
Yeah.
So Libra is ruled by Venus. Interesting, isn't it?
Ah.
Just
Ah.
moving into Aries. So she's very prominent. And we've got, which is even more beautiful, I think, we've got the sun in Aries right conjunct Chiron. So if we choose this, it is Chiron in Aries is very much the wound of who am I? I don't know who I am.
My Chiron is in Aries, so I've really looked
Oh,
into that.
for
Yeah.
anyone with Chiron Aries, this is such a prominent full moon for you.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it is about expression. And it's absolutely conjunct. It's they're 19 minutes apart, so it's very, very tight
Yeah.
conjunction here.
Yeah.
I think this is a beautiful time to really think about what do I need to heal in my relationship with myself
Hmm. Yeah.
and relationships with others. How am I doing?
And almost in that as preparation for moving forward into that fire. So because you got to take your self-worth, and your tribe, your people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's going to be really, we need to be ready for the April the 18th when Mars re-enters Leo. So it's been
Hmm.
knocking about in Cancer, and that can be quite defensive. It can be quite passive aggressive because fiery Mars in
Yeah.
Cancer, which is all about water and mood and
Mm. Yeah.
flowing. So it can't get a grip, it can't fire up. So it's
Yeah.
so where it turns its attention to, it can be turn attention inside, or it could
Mm.
be very overprotective over the home,
Mm.
aggressively. So, I
Mm.
always say to people, be very careful if you've got Mars in Cancer, or
Yeah.
you're knocking about with somebody with Mars in Cancer, or there
Mm.
can be this very strong desire to fight for the homelands. And we can see that going on everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
But
not in a good way. Yeah.
well, it's just playing.
Yeah.
I think we've got to remember that humanity plays out everything
Mm.
that's going on in the cosmos. So as above, so below. So all
Yeah.
of these dynamics are playing out, and we have to take responsibility that we're part of it. We can't say, "Oh, they're doing it." No,
No,
all
no.
of us are contributing to that.
Yeah.
How do we hold, without losing ourselves in the more negative aspects of it? How can we
Mm.
hold responsibility in ourselves? um,
Mm.
so that we have more of a balance. And a Libra moon wants that balance.
Yeah.
It's about balance. It's about law. The
Yeah.
what is
Justice kind of.
just
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And this moon is also, it's also called the Pascal moon, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So it signifies when, for re in a religious kind of way. I mean, it's not just the Christians. It signifies when Passover or when Easter happens. So
Yeah.
it's got that
Yeah.
beacon kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting because it's also carrying this very strong energy of Venus conjunct Saturn conjunct the North Node. You know, there's a lot going on here. Again, about love, about destiny, about the mystic. And I would
Vision.
encourage
Yeah.
visions of the visionary. So, but don't get lost in the
Mm.
fear of what's going out in the on in the world. It's really easy to go, I don't want to, I'm out of here. But I
Yeah.
would encourage everyone, you know, look at read books about the mysteries, the mystics,
Mm.
the journey of the mystic. Andrew Harvey, I know he's a Christian, but gosh, he's good at what he does. And
Yeah.
he really does embrace what it means to be a mystic. And there's
Yeah.
wonderful, all the great religions have mystics.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, all religions or belief systems, which are dangerous in their own because, it's difficult to move through belief systems,
Yeah.
have this turning point almost now in
Yeah.
the year. There's talk about the Kali Yuga that,
Yes. Oh my
all
God.
of that's big. I mean,
It
and
is.
it's everything is a possibility, could this be that turning point, the start of that turning point?
Well, there's Dan Waits has just done a very, very good video on this and I've forgotten the name of the Indian
Yeah,
astrologer that he's interviewed, but it's his latest video on exactly that, the Kali Yuga, really coming together at the same timing as the precession of the equinoxes. We are going through momentous changes,
yeah,
whether we would be on this planet or not. This is a time of immense change to the planet. And
yeah,
because we are part of her, we are experiencing that. And that's also why we're in such chaos, because
yeah.
everything's being thrown up in the air.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just want to put that in there. It might feel bad. It might feel, as you say, chaos and all of that, but it is a new cycle that's starting or we're evolving into.
Well,
Um,
hopefully we're evolving into something.
yeah,
And it's, I
yeah,
think, that's why it's so important to embrace the mystic at the moment, because we need
mm,
really clear, we need visionaries to go,
mm,
how do we want to create this world? We have no control over what's going to happen. None.
no,
So
no,
get on that surfboard and ride that wave and do it
yeah,
with as much integrity as you possibly can, because
and
we
that's
don't
it.
know.
That's it. The
Yeah,
integrity, that connection to self, know thyself. That's where it starts, always.
yeah.
And then we can ride it out.
Yeah, yeah, and it's scary. Riding a wave is scary. You don't know where it's going to land. You don't know if it's
Yeah.
going to knock you over, but know that you're doing, oh God, I'm going to say something really, really weird, kind of dog God's work by doing this. And I don't mean that in a religious sense or the
Yeah.
divine's work or the light,
Yeah.
the work of the light or whatever you want to call it. Be
Mhm.
that visionary, be that Neptunian higher love light. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean to say that, it's not about dispelling the darkness. We need the
Yeah,
darkness to understand what light's about. But
exactly.
it is, it's quite dark out there.
It is. But as you say, and I think that's a very important point, it's not about dispelling the dark because
No.
it is part of, you can't see the light if there's no dark. And we all have that shadow element that we carry with us. And we need to um not make peace with it, but embrace it as a part of us. These are fragmentations of us, and that makes the whole,
Yeah,
and not just this fabulous light and love aspect, because there's more.
We
than
need
that.
the dark to grow. We need that tension in an astrological chart. When you see somebody with lots of squares and oppositions, you just know it may be jolly challenging for them, but you know they're here to grow through those challenges. And
Yeah.
that, in my experience of having horrendous challenges in my life, I now look back and go, well, thank you, because it's brought me here.
Well, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
And
At the time, it seems like, but why me?
yeah,
Yet, I think there's such a power in embracing, okay, there is a deeper meaning in this, and
yeah,
I don't need to understand it now. I just need
absolutely.
to go through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. And I
Yeah.
also think that it's really time to address victim consciousness.
Mm,
There's an awful lot of poor me going on.
yeah.
And I think that that's another area to pay real attention to your language. I was talking to somebody just the other day that there's an awful lot in her language about victim, being a victim, victimhood. They did this to me, or they did this, and I
Yeah.
had no choice in it. And
Yeah.
it's a huge jump of consciousness to go, do you know what? I do have a choice. I do have a choice how I respond to this. And it's not they and me, because that's polarization,
Yeah.
duality. It's about how do we work with this better?
Yeah.
The system is broken. It is broken.
Oh,
Our system is
yeah.
broken.
Don't let me even go there.
We've got
It
to
is very
understand that
broken.
too and try
Yeah.
and find a way within that to bring people online to how do I meet you like this rather
Yeah.
than like this.
And to move out of the system and go to the human,
Yeah,
make that heart
exactly.
connection because that's where our power lies as humans. Um, we can go into the whole AI conversation with that as well, as to what is the difference between us and this computerized world. It is that heart element of I can connect to you. And that's something I really found in Africa or being home in South Africa. There's just that aspect of true connection, and an open heart, a vibrancy that is really embracing.
And England, it's a hard country to live in.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
isn't, it doesn't have soft edges here. It really doesn't.
Mm.
It's
No.
driven, and even though the UK national chart is actually uh, a Libra, which is
Oh,
interesting. Then
interesting.
don't forget Libra is the lawyer.
Yeah.
It's
And the
not
scale.
lover, it's the lawyer.
No. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Anyway, so let's just roll on a bit more here. So yes, so Mars is moving into Leo. This is going to ramp up the energy coming up. We'll talk about this in a minute about the opposition there. Then we have the Sun entering Taurus on the 19th. Lovely Taurus. Let's just hope that, it is this sort of sense. Taurus like to do things slowly and deliberately and to reconnect. It's all very Venus led. So Taurus loves the earth. So
Mm.
it's going to be interesting how this manifests at this stage in the evolution that we're experiencing this Taurus season. Um, yes, so it is about connecting with that and really finding solace in it because we are going through a very bumpy time. This is
Mm.
heavy. This is really heavy turbulence now.
Yeah.
And then on the 21st, it's a really interesting time on the 21st of April because we've got Saturn conjunct the North Node. This only happens every 10 years in Pisces. So Neptune's gone through Pisces and now with the visions, and now
Mm.
Saturn is coming up behind, manifesting those visions. So I think this is going to be a very important year about it's kind of really involving fate and destiny and karma because Saturn is the planet of karma, and then the North Node is destiny, and the two are going to meet. So, what have you created in your visions that you want to manifest? What is
Mm.
And ask yourself that question, light a candle to it, and do some work on it. before the
Yeah.
21st or on the 21st. That's going
Yeah.
to be a really important time. So it's deeply personal with a
Mm.
sense of karma attached to it. So yes, I think that's going to be that's all this month. And then
Mm.
we've got, let's just go, yeah, let's go to the new moon. Let me just have a look.
27th.
Yes, let me just go to here. Yes, we on the 27th, we got the new moon in Taurus. Lovely Taurus. I love Taurus. I think we need that energy. We just need to stop
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Well, you've made me think of Taurus as the bull in the field, you know.
With his
Although
cow.
cow.
With a herd. She don't
Um,
want to do very much else, does she? Just want to munch a lot of grass and go, oh, isn't this
yeah.
nice? And on some,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's also a financial, a money, a possession element to
Oh,
Taurus.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
think we're going to have some quite interesting times actually, in the financial market, because this new moon is square Mars and Pluto.
Oh.
So it's a T-square, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be quite interesting how this works out. It's in a fixed sign. They're in fixed signs. So we've got the new moon in Taurus fixed. We've got Mars in Leo, which is fixed, very fiery fixed. And then we've got, of course, dear old Pluto chuntering along in Aquarius, kind of really, it's already, you can feel the power of Pluto here. I don't know what's going to happen,
Mm.
but I would be very careful around financial issues.
Yeah.
I would be very careful around I don't know, kind of, I'd just be very careful around that time, even though it is Taurus. That
Yeah.
this final opposition is very pokey.
Yeah. And that's also, I mean, the new moon is usually the time we set our
Yes,
intentions
it's the
and
new.
and be restful and kind of
Yeah,
scale down. Yeah.
yeah. So yes, I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm going to be very cautious this month
Yeah.
and very attentive. It's very interesting that Trump has made this with these tariffs, how that's
Mm.
going to play out on the world stage and how it's going to affect each one of us
Yeah.
financially. And we've had a huge rise in the cost of living anyway.
Yeah.
That came up on the 1st of April. So I'm very cautious around. I don't know. It's a pokey month. It is a
It
pokey
is. Well,
month.
it's a perky time, and this
Yeah,
month
yeah,
is one of those elements.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And as we said, it is also breaking down those systems, whether this money system is going to carry on. Do we disassociate ourselves from that value system as putting an external and less internal, which I think is a
Yeah.
moon.
And I actually forgot to say that the full moon back on the 12th is square Mars in Cancer. So
Oh,
I forgot to say that. So there is a very strong cardinal T-square also there. So the two moons this month are very, very pokey.
yeah, fiery Mars.
Fiery Mars, but in Cancer still. But so there
Yeah,
could be more around, yeah, riots or street or
yeah,
home, protecting the home or
mm,
issues around that and
yeah,
relationships and our relationship with that. So that's
yeah,
really interesting. So yes, I think. I think we're going to be asked to question what safety means to us. And I think a lot of us are really struggling with that at the moment because the world isn't what we thought it was. It isn't that safe. Oh, I'm going to go on holiday to Greece for 2 weeks and have a lovely time and come home and carry on. It isn't like that anymore. The world is changing hugely. And it is in the process of a major shift, shunt, whatever you want to say. So
Yeah.
just be conscious of it.
Yeah.
And how are you contributing to that? Are you
Yeah.
reacting to it in fear, or are you responding into it going, oh, this is interesting. I'll just take
Yeah.
care and take care of everyone else I know.
Yeah.
You-
And as we mentioned before we started recording, be where you need to be. Listen to those calls.
Yes,
There's a
yes.
time for you to be in your place.
Yeah.
Yeah, not driven by need.
I think something else that's really come to mind that is very indicative of this particular, the month of Aries,
Mm.
is these discoveries, these, hopefully, because they're not verified,
Yeah.
they've done the exploration from a satellite. It isn't on the ground.
Yeah.
These pyramid structures, these possible pyramid structures, and I think if it is true, then Graham Hancock, who's been shouting about this forever, it will
Yeah.
verify his work, which is
Mm.
tireless in putting these theories forward. And it will, if they are true, it will absolutely fundamentally change our relationship with history and our origins.
Exactly. And it puts us back to we don't know anything, until
Exactly.
we find these little pieces that's always been there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and those are the things I feel we need to put our awareness to,
yeah,
instead of the
yeah,
fear.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, it is about really being as realistic as possible. And I really respect a lot of astrologers who are talking about this wonderful shift into the fifth dimension and the golden thing.
Yeah.
That's I whatever turns you on. But for
Yeah.
me, I'd rather keep my feet on the ground and do one day at a time, because
Yeah.
feet on the ground, one day at a time, creates the reality of the next day. And
Yeah.
and Neptune can take us off into these massive, fabulous visions. You think, oh, it's all going to be absolutely wonderful, but
Yeah.
we've got to be to these shifts needs reality and a sense of groundedness and a sense of being really realistic
Mm.
with what's happening.
Because we're infinite beings having a human experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we need the light, we need the dark,
Yeah.
and we do. That's
Because we chose this also, it's not that we were just,
yeah,
well, I believe, I don't know, this is just how I feel, but there is a reason why we chose to have this physical form in this time.
yes,
Um, so
yeah,
we need to experience it. I mean, it is the experience that we're here for, not for the dream.
exactly. It not for the dream, but for
Mhm.
creating the vision into a reality that really works for us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
by doing this work, we really contribute to the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's deeply personal. But
Deeply
but we can
personal.
share it, we can express it, and we can
Yeah.
we can enjoy it together.
Yeah.
Sue, thank you so much.
I love our chats.
Me too. And we will do it again next week,
Yeah, yeah,
next
yeah.
month.
And to all of you out there, thanks so much for listening to us. We
Yeah,
so appreciate it. And any comments that you have, we're doing this alongside you, and
yeah,
that's all we can say. We're all in this together.
exactly. And we might as well enjoy the bits we can. Thank you.
See you later. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.